Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and today we're going to do the Game Week 34 team selection video. So this is the video where I am finally going to reveal my final Game Week 34 wildcard team, because I am wildcarding in Game Week 34. Right, so I waited a while to film this video because I was waiting for the midweek games to be over. I was also waiting to see the starting 11 for Chelsea against Arsenal, and also see how the game turned out, because that would impact how the wildcard draft that I am going to go into Game Week 34 with looks like, right? And also another news that I was waiting for is the Manchester City and Wolves game, right? Whether it would go into 36 or 37. I'll touch on this later on, but basically it hasn't been announced as of recording. So that is also going to play into the draft. But before we get into all of this content in the video, I just want to thank every one of you guys. Thank you so much for helping me to hit 1,000 subscribers. I'm really so amazed and so happy. So thank you guys for helping me reach this target. And yeah, I'm gonna take everything else that comes just as a bonus, right? And I'm glad you guys enjoy the content, because it also spurs me on to create more videos and improve my content for you guys. So of course, if you're new around here and you're not subscribed yet, do hit that button to join the FPL Consult community. And as always, in this video, I am going to cover lots of things. So there's something for everyone in this video. So first, we are going to cover what are the confirmed double game week fixtures, right? Because the FA Cup game of Crystal Palace and Chelsea, and also City and Liverpool, the results have kind of given us some confirmed fixtures, right? So we're going to cover that, and then we're also going to look at a very big question, which a lot of us are thinking of right now, which is which Chelsea assets to go for, right? Minutes are a risk for some. Reece James is playing out of position right now. All of these things are going to be covered then. And also lastly, before I get into the draft, I'm going to cover who to captain, because suddenly Salah has come back into form, right? And now he is going to be a captain consideration as well, on top of all the double game week assets. So it's really a headache right now to decide who to captain. So that's also a question we're going to address before we get into the wildcard draft. So without further ado, guys, hopefully you enjoy this video. Do drop a like if you do, and let's get on with the content. So on the screen right now is the updated double game week fixture schedule. So Chelsea and Manchester United now have a double in game week 34, right? So most of us are probably looking to bring in Chelsea assets, and I'll touch on them later on. But if you take a look at the 36 and 37 fixtures as well, these are confirmed now. There are 3 teams that have consecutive doubles, so Everton, Leicester and Aston Villa. And then if you take a look at 36, there are a few teams that have pretty good doubles, so Chelsea, Liverpool, Watford, and then Leeds and Tottenham have pretty tough double game week fixtures in 36. And then if you take a look at 37, apart from the Manchester United blank and also the 3 teams that have consecutive doubles, there's also Crystal Palace and Burnley, right? So I just want to touch on one game that hasn't been rescheduled as of recording, and that is the Manchester City and Wolves game. Now, according to Ben Crellin, it is more likely that it will be rescheduled into 37 because of TV rights, etc., right? But there is also a chance it could go into 36. So by the time you are watching this, it could have been announced, right? But as of recording, it could go into either 36 or 37, right? So on the screen right now, I'm going to put up the updated graphic on teams to prioritize, and I'm assuming that the Wolves and Man City game gets rescheduled into 37, right? And if that is the case, then this is the final graphic that we can kind of use to craft our wildcard teams. Or if we're not wildcarding, this can also help us to plan our transfers moving forward, right? So Chelsea, Liverpool and Manchester City are the teams I would target right off the bat. And then further down the list, there's Leicester, Aston Villa and Everton. And as mentioned just now, they have consecutive doubles, and that's why we're going to want them as well. And then Crystal Palace, Arsenal, Tottenham, Watford and United, they're all pretty much further down the list. United, I think they have been pretty poor. We all probably know this by now, right? And they're only in this list because they double in Game Week 34, right? So if you take a look at the rest of the teams, we can consider having a few of these assets as well, right? Crystal Palace, Arsenal, Tottenham and Watford, right? All for various reasons, whether they double in 36, 37 or have a good fixture run. Now, in order for us to pick out which Chelsea assets to go for, because we know now that they double in 34 and also have a pretty good run-in, we're all probably going to want to target their players. So we do have to understand Chelsea's situation. So on the screen is their fixture ticker at the moment from Game Week 34 to Game Week 37, and it is pretty packed, right? If we take a look, on the 24th of April, which is this weekend, they play West Ham at home. And then 5 days later, they play Manchester United. 2 days later, they have the Everton game, which is the Game Week 35 fixture, right? A single game week there for them. And then in Game Week 36, 6 days later after the Everton game, they play Wolves at home, right? 5 days later, they play Leeds. And then they have the FA Cup 2 days after the Leeds game, right? So we're going to expect some rotation there. And then 6 days after the FA Cup, which is pretty much back to normal schedule, they have the Game Week 37 fixture against Leicester at home. So if we take a look at the league table as well, we realize that Chelsea does have one game in hand as compared to Tottenham and Arsenal, right? But after the Chelsea versus Arsenal game, where Chelsea lost 4-2, of course, the race for third place is now on, right? And even though Chelsea do have that one game in hand, it is very possible that Tottenham and Arsenal could both vie for that third spot as well, right? So I'm probably guessing as well that Tuchel's main aim in the Premier League right now is to secure third spot, right? No, at all costs, right? Because the race for third place is now on, right? And after doing some calculations, I've realized that the third place or the third spot on the league table could be secured by the first game of Game Week 36, right? And that is the Wolves game at home, right? And that's, of course, if Chelsea win all their Premier League games leading up to that Wolves game, right? Then third place would be confirmed, and then Tuchel can rest his players against Leeds and then get them ready for the FA Cup later on, right? But whether or not third place is secured, based on just the frequency of the games and how much rest time the players have, I do expect rotation in the Everton away game and also the Leeds away game. And those happen to be Game Week 30. The Everton away game happens to be in Game Week 35. The Leeds away game happens to be the second game of Game Week 36, right? So this is going to have implications moving forward as well, and those are things we have to consider. So finally, guys, we are going to talk about Chelsea assets because most of us are going to want to bring them in for the double in 34, right? So there are 5 players that I do believe can make a case for coming into our teams. So there's Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, Reece James, Marcos Alonso, and Timo Werner. Right, so I've ranked them in this order and I'm going to explain why. So I've gone for Mason Mount first because he is at the moment Chelsea's best attacker, right? Consistent returns, consistent starts, really the dream asset to have right now. And the thing is, because he is so good at the moment, I do believe he could be rested once third place is confirmed, so that Tuchel can rest him for the FA Cup game, right? So that is later on. I do believe that in 34 and 35, he could get some decent minutes as well, right? And then we have Kai Havertz. He is currently Chelsea's preferred number 9, and that is probably confirmed after looking at how Tuchel rotated Lukaku and Havertz yesterday in the Arsenal game, right? Havertz was due a rest, and he got his rest in the first half, right? He didn't start against Arsenal, but thereafter at 3-2 down, Tuchel realized that he needed Havertz, and he took Lukaku off and he subbed Havertz in, right? So this is probably an indication as well that when Chelsea is down or when Chelsea really need to win a game, Havertz is their preferred number 9. So I also do believe that because he has gotten a rest in the Arsenal game, he is probably the most likely Chelsea player or Chelsea attacker to start both the double game week 34 games for Chelsea, right? So and then if we take a look, beside Kai Havertz, there is Reece James as well. So I've ranked him third because currently in the Arsenal game, right, he did start in the right centre back position, and he has been playing there for a while now, and that's because Tuchel wanted to ease him back into playing games consistently, right? And Tuchel also did say that it is because the right centre back spot is less demanding than the right wing back spot, and that's why he's been playing Azpilicueta in the right wing back spot at the moment to kind of ease Reece James in. But after that, once again, when we realized that Chelsea is down, right, and when Tuchel needs to win the game, he swapped Reece James to right wing back, right? So how this has implications moving forward as well is, as I mentioned just now, I think Chelsea want to secure third spot as soon as possible, right? And that could also mean that maybe Tuchel has learned his lesson, right? If he wants to secure third spot, if he wants to win games, and possibly get a rest for his players leading up to the FA Cup later on, he probably would start Reece James in the right wing back spot, right? And that's kind of why I've gone for Reece James here. But if we take a look, beside Reece James, there's Marcos Alonso, right? And the case for Marcos Alonso is that he could be a greater attacking threat if he plays at left wing back, right, which he does not have much competition for the left wing back spot. He could have more attacking threat than a Reece James at right centre back, right? That's obvious because the wing back spots are where players really bomb forward, right? So there could be a case where Marcos Alonso is more attractive than Reece James as an asset if Reece James continues to play at right centre back. But as mentioned just now, I do think like right wing back would be what we would see coming moving forward, right? Of course, no confirmation there, but if we actually, or if you actually think that Reece James would continue to play right centre back, then maybe Marcos Alonso could offer more attacking threat there going forward, right? And then lastly, we have Timo Werner. He is probably more of a spicy differential, actually. I do think like he is in very good form at the moment. He's been getting consistent returns, and he's actually started quite consistently since game week 28, right? He's been starting in the UEFA Champions League as well when Chelsea was still in, right, playing the Real Madrid games, and also in the Premier League since game week 28 he's actually played almost every game, right? So really a spicy differential there, and I do think like if we're chasing rank, maybe we can go for Timo Werner. So lastly, before we go into my game week 34 wildcard team, I'm just going to quickly cover 4 captain options that I actually do think stand out at the moment, and all could make a case for the captain's armband, right? So first, I'm gonna go with Kai Havertz, and that's because if we take a look at his stats as well, pretty decent, right? And I've also mentioned that I do think he will start both of the game week 34 games. So probably if he's going to get 180 minutes in game week 34, I actually do think like there are pretty much some returns in store for him, and that's the reason why I've ranked him in front of Mason Mount, and that's because I think Mason Mount could be rested in either one of the games for game week 34, right? He's played a lot of games recently, so very high chance that Mason Mount could be rested, but at the same time he is pretty fit, right? So Tuchel could very well just play him in both, right? And then if you take a look, Mo Salah has come back up on our radars, right? And if you take a look at his predicted points, even though he is on a single game week, he is actually quite comparable, his predicted points as compared to all the other Chelsea players who have a double game week, right? He's at 6.1 predicted points, and the other Chelsea players all have 2 games, right? So Mo Salah is really making a case for himself to have the captain's armband as well. And then lastly, Reece James. If you take a look, the stats I've given you guys on the screen right now for him aren't expected goals and aren't expected assists. I've changed it a bit because he is a defender, so I've kind of displayed the goal involvement per 90 and also the expected clean sheet, right? So if you take a look for Reece James specifically, his expected goal involvement is pretty high, right? 0.38 per 90. And also if you take a look at the clean sheet percentages, they are pretty high, right? 39% against West Ham and 35% against Manchester United, right? So there is also a case that he could play right wing back spot as mentioned, right? And that could really bring his ceiling really high. And at the moment he is sitting at 6.5 predicted points, so he really could make a case for the captain's armband as well. But personally, for my team, I do believe that I would probably go for Kai Havertz, right? So now let's take a look at my wildcard team for Game Week 34, which is also my team selection. Right guys, so on the screen right now is my Wildcard 34 team, right? Probably the finalized one as well. Probably 95% confirmed on this team, right? And the only change I would make if I have a little bit more funds is to change Van Dijk out for Robertson, right? But I don't have enough money for that, so so Van Dijk is in my team, and this is how I am setting up in Game Week 34, right? And this also leads me into how I can bench boost into Game Week 36 as well, which I will cover later. But let's take a look at my picks right now. I've gone for Foster and Schmeichel. Pretty much every team that is wildcarding in Game Week 34 will probably go for these 2 keepers because they double in Game Week 36 as well, right? And then if you take a look at the defenders, I've gone for Trent, Reece James, Cancelo, Van Dijk, and Medicash, right? As mentioned, Reece James, Cancelo, Trent Alexander-Arnold, I do think all 3 of them have to be in our teams right now. Reece James, for a while he was actually out of my drafts because he was playing right centre back, but I think after yesterday's game against Arsenal, I do think like if Tuchel really wants to win a game, James is going to go into right wing back spot, and that's why he is still in my team because his ceiling is really high, right? So Trent, James, and Cancelo, that's covered. And then we have Van Dijk and Medicash. So I've gone for another Liverpool defender, right? Because I want another defender in a strong team that is doubling in Game Week 36, right? And ideally that would be Robertson, right? But because I want a Liverpool defender, I think Van Dijk is probably the next most nailed one, and he does have attacking threat when he goes up for corners, right? And then lastly, Medicash, he has a double in 36 and 37, right? And if you take a look in the midfield, there's Mason Mount and Havertz. I've gone for both of them, and that's because probably I do think like there are returns in store for both of them moving forward, right? And honestly, there isn't much to separate both of them, so I've just gone for both of them. And if I've gone for Mount, Havertz, and James, that's also another reason why I can't fit a Chelsea defender, right? And that's why Van Dijk or Robertson would take up that premium defender slot that I actually do want, right, for a 36 double. And then if you take a look, we have Salah as well. I think it's pretty much probably all of us will have to have Salah in our teams. And then if you take a look for the other two options, I've gone for Jacob Ramsey and Bernardo Silva. So Bernardo Silva is actually because I do believe that Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, they are all prone to rotation moving forward when City do have involvements in the UEFA Champions League, right? So Bernardo is actually at 7 mil, right? And it's actually the amount that I would probably say is the maximum team value or maximum amount that I would invest in a City attacker at this point, because there are so many other good options right now, right? There's James Maddison, who's not in this team. There's Mount and Havertz, right? They're currently there. So there are so many other good options, and if I get a Phil Foden and he's rotated, like the opportunity cost for that is really high, right? So I've gone for Bernardo, who is pretty much quite consistently starting every Premier League game right now. And even though he does play in the Champions League game as well, he is probably one of the players that have lesser rotation risks in Premier League, right? And that's why I have him in my team, and actually he does pose some attacking threat as well, right? And then if we take a look, last option is Ramsey, cheap enabler, and also he doubles in 36 and 37, and I actually recommend Ramsey ahead of someone like Keenan Dewsbury Hall, and that's because I've done a comparison of both of them, and actually Ramsey's statistics really outshine KDH, right? So I've actually gone for Ramsey, but if you guys want to go for KDH to have an enabler in him, that can also be an option. Then up front I have Timo Pukki, Richarlison, and Dennis, right? So all of them, I've gone for them basically because they double in 36, right? And Pukki is in pretty good form. He also has good numbers to back him up, right? Dennis also is coming up right now. Watford have a double in 36, and then Richarlison has a back-to-back double in 36 and 37. He's on penalties as well. So now let's take a look at how the team lines up in Game Week 36. So after doing Bernardo Silva out for James Maddison, I can actually arrive at this really strong team for a bench boost in Game Week 36, right? Really strong team, 14 doublers, and only one player with a single game week, and that's Cancelo, who plays Newcastle at home, right? So also a favourable fixture for him, right? So I'm actually pretty excited to bench boost in Game Week 36 with this team. I probably would captain Salah as well in Game Week 36, right? And if you take a look on the bench, really strong, right? I have Foster, Cash, Richarlison, and Dennis, even though they are not the best players, but they do have 2 games each, right? And there is every chance that they could perform well as well. So if you take a look on the whole, I'm pretty excited for Game Week 36, and I do think like my Wildcard 34 team that I just showed you guys previously, I'm pretty much 95% confirmed that is the team I'm going to go with. So hopefully this video actually does give you guys some inspiration for your own teams as well. Whether you are wildcarding or not, some picks could actually be mentioned in this video that you guys can consider. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Do give a like if you enjoyed this video, and also subscribe if you are new to the channel, and I'll see you guys in another video very soon. Bye bye.